with the latest in KeyForge going zones. If I'm playing a Grommet, you know something must be going wrong. Alright. Ghost Galaxy has released some new KeyForge information over the last few weeks and even yesterday. Let's get into it. Alright. So there's a new look for the new two-player starter deck. At first it kind of looked like the Call of the Archon starter deck, but we can see now it's going to be blue and specifically designed for brand new players getting into the game, so I'm sure they'll have a lot of good introductory onboarding into the keywords and such. That's that. Then we got the UnChained decks. The card decks have been released. So, an early November update. Yeah, this was dropped just yesterday. An early November update. Take a look at the new cool designs for KeyForge UnChained decks. A special thanks to all backers and a pledge manager update. So, you know, they're going to have these at the KeyForge Celebration 2022. So, they're already ready. So, happy early November. We have some previews and updates for you today. The raw nature of UnChained decks. Today we celebrate the wacky and wild UnChained decks. We have created a whole new look for the UnChained card decks and the card list of UnChained decks. Here's a peek. So some people have complained about the asymmetricalness of the token card backs, because you got to know that there's a token on the back to be the token whenever you drop it. But, like, you know, anytime you have three different houses, it's kind of unsymmetrical anyway. But whatever. Yeah, so I think these are going to be Winds of Exchange decks. Backs will look like that with the token on it. And then others, they will not have that. Right. The Archon Conspicuously Veiled Embla is an UnChained deck with token creatures. In this case, the Mars token creature Blorb. Note that players are now able to identify which faction is associated with the deck's token creature as the house symbol overlapping the token illustration on the card's back of decks contain a token creature. Yeah. Alright, there goes the back of the Archon, the list contents. And yeah, we're excited to let you know that we'll be adding a thank you to each game found backer from the original campaign to every deck of Winds of Exchange and UnChained 2022. Yeah, so you get a free UnChained deck, I think. Pledge Manager update. Celebration 2022. November 11th through 13th in Roseville, Minnesota. Alright, moving along. Yeah, to the main what I'm looking for here is the tournament's rules and guidelines have just dropped as well. This document represents Ghost Galaxy's most recent version of the tournament rules and guidelines, TRG for short, for the KeyForge game. All official KeyForge tournaments must be officiated in accordance with these rules and guidelines. Okay, I kind of went through and highlighted the important stuff. This document will be updated over time. Such updates may reflect new rules, clarifications, and guidelines, or may alter or reverse prior ones. Okay, Christian T. Peterson, CEO, Ghost Galaxy. In definitions, tournament rules and guidelines, TRG. Okay, so pretty much a casual tournament, any format specified by the event organizer. Okay, then we have official tournaments, which are administered under TRG, organized by Ghost Galaxy or its designated tournament organizer. Okay, then we have gameplay, the rules and guidelines. Tournament rules are objectified methods provided by TRG. And tournament guidelines are parameters for handling situations related to KeyForge events not explicitly covered by tournament rules. So stuff that's in the gray area. Leeway is granted to event organizers. And then the game rules. Complete KeyForge game rules are found on keyforging.com. Then we have a round is defined as tournaments are divided into a number of rounds, with each round consisting of multiple matches or just one match. The event organizer determines the number of rounds. A match is defined as a single game or a series of games. And then the roles at a KeyForge event. So this is kind of different from most things, from most tournaments, it seems like to me. You have a judge. We all know what a judge is. Judge! And then people will throw up their hand and then wait for the judge to come, even for the most minute of crap sometimes. But yeah, we have the marshal. So above the judge is the marshal, the person of authority appointed by event organizers to enforce the TRG and facilitate fair and orderly conduct of tournaments. Disputes between players may be escalated from a judge to a marshal, and the marshal has the final ruling. The marshal has the authority to disqualify, DQ players from tournaments and eject participants from the event. Each event must have a marshal. So, lawman, lawwoman, lawshim, lawzer. A marshal may also be a judge. Spectator, you know. Don't get out of your lane, spectators. Conduct. Yeah, unsportsman person conduct. Such as stalling a game for time. You can't do that. You might get DQ'd. Intentionally trying to confuse an opponent. Can't do that. It's good to know. Bribery or colluding with other participants to manipulate tournament results. Can't do that. So can't walk in with your buddy and say, hey, I'm going to give you the win if I'm already in there or something, like swimwear or something. Alright, then we got tardiness. 5 minutes or more. Might get a warning. Might can't play that first round. Who knows? Failing a deck check. So, you know, got to be honest with those decks. Intentional slow play. Can't do that. That's good. And then we've got penalties. So you can either get a warning. Okay, some kinds of warnings. A judge or marshal may issue warnings to players or spectators for rules infractions or unsporting conduct. So informal warnings. You can get informal warnings and then you keep on doing a little bit. But then if you repeatedly get issued a warning, then you may get a formal warning. Formal warnings are issued for serious rules infractions or serious unsporting conduct. Participants who receive 2 formal warnings in the same tournament will receive a penalty up to and including ejection from the event at the discretion of the marshal. So two formals will get you out of there. The judge or marshal may forego warnings and proceed directly to issuing a penalty on the offending player. Okay, so then we'll get into penalties. Disqualification should never be issued lightly. Yeah. Automatic game loss. A judge or marshal may issue an automatic game loss due to a player, and they are not issued lightly. Yeah. Alright, player materials. Archon and deck list. You gotta have your Archon card, or cards must be visible at all times during a match. And you can look at the opponent's Archon for 2 minutes max. 2-minute limit. And then card sleeves. Players are required to sleeve their decks in opaque card sleeves for all official KeyForge events. All sleeves within a single deck must be identical in size, color, texture, and condition. You know what? Can I do this? Maybe that works. And maybe not. I like my little triangles. Alright, yeah, so KeyForge uses a variety of tokens, and in official tournaments, you can use the stuff that comes, the punch-out tokens that comes with KeyForge sets, or you may use third-party components provided those components adhere to the following guidelines. So you can use outside stuff. We'll get to the dice in a second. Different tokens and counters are clearly distinguishable and resistant to accidental modifications. So yeah, they're probably still keeping the dice out. I hate that. I love using dice for the counters. Keys have a distinct and easily discernible difference between their A and B sides. So we know dice D6s have 6 sides. Chain trackers clearly show the number of chains a player currently has. And like I say, sounds like still a no-go on dice, which is stupid to me because plenty of games use dice, even Pokemon. But maintaining an orderly play area. A player's amber pool is clearly defined. So yeah, gotta have that. The difference between ready and exhausted cards is always clear. Yeah, one of my peeves is when people tap stuff, exhaust stuff like at a diagonal 135-degree angle. Well, 45-degree angle. It's like, just tap it 90 degrees, man. But whatever. Round times and going to time. For all formats, elimination, because some people use that to cheat. Not everybody, but some people. For all formats, elimination best of 1 rounds last 45 minutes. That used to be 35. So, matter of fact, we played tonight at Game Goblins KeyForge Wednesday. Come on out and get you some free decks for attending. But yeah, we played we always do 35 minutes, but tonight we did the 45 minute, and just so happened that nobody went to time tonight. All 3 rounds, nobody went to time. So, could be good, makes things last a little longer, but not much. Yeah, so playoff best of 3 rounds last 120 minutes each, so very long. Alright, best of 3, so that's 40 minutes versus 45, best of 3. Okay, that makes sense. When time is called for the round, play proceeds to the following steps. 1. The player, so this is going to time right here. So the player 1 who is currently taking their turn finishes their turn. If player 1 achieves victory by the end of their turn, then the game immediately ends. Player 2 doesn't even get a chance, which kind of sucks because you always want to get a chance. But yeah, okay, otherwise proceed to step 2. And then, like, people are still going to be watching that clock come the end of the round if they have the clock going on in the background and if you're allowed to look at the time. So that's going to still be a thing. And then 2, the opponent, player 2, then takes their turn. If player 2 achieves victory by the end of their turn, then the game ends. And then otherwise proceed to step 3. So in that case, then player 1 won't have another chance to come back. I mean, we'll see how it goes. And then step 3. Player 1 starts their final turn. Starts their turn. Really, they don't even start the turn. They just check if they forge a key. This final turn proceeds until step 1. The forge a key step has been completed. So stop at the forge a key step for player 1. And if player 1 achieves victory by the end of this turn, I don't know. Maybe they do complete their whole turn. It's kind of confusing the way they worded it. So if player 1 achieves victory by the end of this turn, the game ends. Otherwise, proceed to the tiebreaker rules below. So actually sounds like player 1 does have... Time gets called, they get a turn. They haven't won. Player 2 takes their turn. They haven't won. Then player 1 gets a whole nother turn. That sounds crazy. Alright, if neither player has achieved victory by forging 3 keys after the completion of this final turn. Yeah, completion of the final turn. So player 1 is going to have to get 2 turns if nobody forges. If neither player has achieved victory, forge 3 keys after the completion of this final turn, they must follow the steps below in order to determine who receives the win for the current game. Alright, each player who has 6 or more amber forges 1 key, removing the 6 amber from their pool as usual. Cards that affect amber cost have no effect during this step. Each player can only forge 1 key from this step. Okay, the player with the most keys forged is the winner. If there's a tie, proceed to step 3. The player with the most remaining amber in their pool is the winner. If there's still a tie, proceed to step 4. The player with the lowest number of chains is the winner. If there's still a tie, proceed to step 5. The player with the most friendly creatures in play is the winner. If there's still a tie, proceed to step 6. Then the first player is the winner. Now, I mean, they ought to always clarify this stuff. Like, do they still mean the first player of the actual game who started the game off? Or the first player... Well, no, that's player 1. Player 1 is who time got called on. So the first player of the game. Yeah, so now you got to always track off. Now you got to really track who started the game for real. Alright, best of 3 matches. Not going to even really jump off into that too heavy. And then official tournament formats. We already went over this before, kind of. But Archon format. So with the playoffs, whatever that is, after concluding the elimination rounds, the 8 remaining players are randomly paired into 4 elimination brackets, each consisting of 1 playoff match. Each playoff match is played as a best of 3 series. In other words, for the match to be resolved, players continue to play games until one player has won 2 games. The player who lost the previous game chooses which player will act as first player for the next game if necessary. The winning player continues to the next playoff bracket and the losing player is eliminated. Playoff matches continue until 2 finalists play the last match in which a single tournament winner is determined. Alright, so that's playoffs. Archon sealed. And then Alliance. We've been over all that. House pies and such. Alright, and then we got deck calibration on Alliance Sealed. So whenever you want to change out decks and such, deck calibration. Between each round of an Alliance Sealed tournament, before being seeded with their next opponent, players may calibrate their decks by substituting one or more house pies with one or more of their unused house pies from the 2 Archon decks they opened at the beginning of the tournament. After calibration, a deck must consist of 3 house pies from different houses, and the calibrated decks must adhere to the Alliance restricted list. So, sideboarding. Weird sideboarding. If an Alliance deck is constructed from the Winds of Exchange set, the player may also substitute the chosen token creature reference card with one of the unused token creature reference cards from the 2 Archon decks they opened at the beginning of the tournament. Sounds mega fun. Alright, and then to finish off, the Alliance restricted list. Each Alliance deck can't include more than one by name from the following list, and that card can't appear in the deck in a quantity greater than the Alliance restricted list specifies. An unmodified Archon deck used in an Alliance tournament does not need to adhere to the restricted list, so go ham on unmodified decks. Card name, quantity allowed. Okay, so this is going really into Yu-Gi-Oh! Territory, but nothing has 2 per deck, though. Nothing has 3 per... Oh, yeah. Nothing has the 2 quantity allowed so far. So really going into Yu-Gi-Oh! Territory here. Alright, so card name in quantity allowed. Dark Ember Vault, 1 per deck. Ghost Form, any number. Lateral Shift, any number. Library Access, 1 per deck. Yeah, and Library Access, that's the big culprit for infinite combo right there. Get your whole deck, I believe. And then Library Card, any number. Martian Generosity, any number. Arresting Untis, don't think I've ever even seen that card. 1 per deck. Don't recall it. Science Officer Morpheus, any number. Sounds like that jerky Science Officer Quinkin. Hate that guy. Not really. Time Traveler, any number. And United Action, any number. Alright, so what's my time looking like? I can't even much tell, but I'm gone. Leave your comments in the comment section. Holla at your boy, Foyo Games. Like, comment, subscribe. And we love Spock. Spock is a Jew. Live long and prosper. And this is a Jewish sign. Alright.